Good morning, my dear students of class 3. Now, today we're going to start with a new chapter. Okay, we're going to do a poem, The Lost Doll. Now, The Lost Doll is a beautiful poem written by Charles Kingsley. Now, before I explain the poem, I would like you all to take out your literature exercise book, open to the page where you have written the poem, so that as I explain line by line, okay, you will be able to understand the poem better. Now the poem starts. I once had a sweet little doll, dears, the prettiest doll in the world. Her cheeks were so red and so white, dears, and her hair was so charmingly curled. So here in this first stanza, okay, now this poem, it has 4 stanzas, okay. Right now we are going to start with the first stanza. Now in the first stanza, what does the poet tell us? Now the poet tells us that once he had a very, very pretty and a sweet doll. Okay, according to him, this doll that he had was the prettiest doll in the world. The cheeks of the doll were so red and so white. Okay, that means it was both red and white at the same time. Okay, and the doll's hair was beautifully curled. The doll had a curly hair. So in this first paragraph, what the poet is trying to tell us is that once he had a doll, okay, this doll, according to him, was the prettiest doll in the world. Her cheeks were red and white, and she had beautiful curly hair. Now let's start with the second stanza. But I lost my poor little doll, dears, as I played in the heath one day. And I cried for her more than a week, dears, but I never could find where she lay. Now, the word heath, okay? Heath means an open land or a big field. For example, golfing, okay? When you go to golfing, you can see a huge field, an open field ahead of you. So heath is something like that. Do you understand? Okay, so in the second stanza, what happens? The poet seems to have lost his doll. Okay? As the poet was playing in the field one day, okay, maybe he forgot to take the doll back home. Okay? So he cried and cried for more than a week because he misses his doll terribly. But he never found out where he left her. He lost his doll. So this is what happened in the second stanza. Now let's start with the third stanza. I found my poor little doll, dears, as I played in the heath one day. Folks say she is terribly changed, dears, for her paint is all washed away. So here it seems that the poet finally had found his lost doll. Okay, now as he was playing in the field one day, what happened? Suddenly he spotted or he saw his lost doll on the ground somewhere. But people say, you know what they say? They say that the condition of the doll, it had terribly changed. That means the hair was not that curly anymore. Okay, the color of the doll was changed from white to maybe brown or black because it's become dirty. And then the paint that the doll had on the cheeks, the red color, it was all washed away, maybe by rain. Okay, and then the clothes were torn and dirty. So the appearance of the doll, it was not the same, okay, like the time that he had him. Everything was changed. This doll was like a dirty old doll now. And her arms trodden off by the cows, dears, and her hair not the least bit curl. Yet, for all sake's sake, she is still dear's, the prettiest doll in the world. So when the poet found the doll, obviously the doll was not the same beautiful doll anymore, right? Now if you leave your toy, okay, outside, and then after a few weeks you go and check it, you go to check your toy, it's not going to be the same shiny clean toy like you had it at home, right? The color of the toy, maybe it's a little bit dirty, it looks old, it looks, forgotten. So this was the same condition of the doll. Now the doll here, what happened? One of the arm, okay? One of the doll's arm was crushed. It was bitten maybe by animals, who were grazing on the field. The hair of the doll was not curly anymore. Okay? Why do you think so? When you leave your doll somewhere far, okay, in a field or near a tree or near a river, what happens? The clothes get torn away, maybe due to animals. Okay, they would bite the doll or all that, and then the color of the doll would change. The doll would look very dirty. If it had beautiful curly hair in the beginning, if you leave it too long outside, what happens? The hair also becomes what? It does not become curly and pretty anymore, right? So this is what happened to the lost doll. But still, according to the poet, the doll that he got, okay, it was still the prettiest doll in the world for him. So why do you think so? Even though it was so dirty and old, why do you think the poet thinks it's still the prettiest doll? The reason is because the poet had great love for the doll. Now, since the beginning of the poem, we come to know that according to the poet, okay, this doll was the prettiest doll in the world. Why? Because he loved this doll a lot. Right? In the same way, when you love a toy, when you have your favorite toy and you like to carry it wherever you go. Now, if that toy, if it gets lost somewhere and you don't find it anymore, obviously you're going to miss the doll or the toy, right? Now, let's say after a few months, you get back your toy. What would be your reaction? You would feel so happy, and you would, even though it looks old, even though it's not the same way as you had it before, but still you have that love for your toy. So that toy will always be special to you. That toy will always mean the world to you. So in the same way, this doll also meant the world to the poet. Okay? Now I hope you understand the story. The story is about the doll, okay? The poet had a doll, and according to him, it was the prettiest doll in the world. But one fine day, as he played in the field, he left and he forgot to carry the doll back home. He searched and searched, but he couldn't find the doll anyway. Until one day, he got his doll back. But the doll was not in the same condition as it was before. Okay? But even then, to the poet, this doll was still the prettiest doll in the world. So if you love your toys, try to keep them properly. Okay? Try not to throw them or leave them somewhere. When you play with your toys, always remember to pick it up and keep it in a proper place. Okay? Because you never know, my dear children, that if you leave your toy on the ground, maybe your cat or your dog could carry the doll, you'd carry your toy somewhere and spoil your toy. So in that way, you're going to be the one who would feel sad, right? So take care of your toys. Okay, I think that this poem, it can relate to all of you, both boys and girls. Okay, I hope it does not relate only to the girls. Now, this poem is just not about a doll, but it's about your favorite toy. Okay, for the girls, maybe dolls, but for the boys, it can be any toy that you have. So take care of your toys. Okay, Thank you for watching this video. I hope you understand my explanation and have a nice day.